everybody, it's Kristin and I have a foundation for review for you guys today. So I had seen an advertisement for this foundation and it's the Estee Lauder Re-Nutriv, I believe is how you say it. And I hadn't heard anything about it. I hadn't seen anything about it on YouTube. I just hadn't, and I guess it's been around for a while. I don't know how long. So it could be like years and years and years. I don't know. But I was so curious about it that I decided to go ahead and purchase it. So I am in the shade 1C1 Cool Bone. We'll talk about the shade range here in just a minute. This is a fairly good match for me. It's a little bit light now that I'm outside a little bit more. But I would say 9-10 months out of the year, it would be a good match for me. So I think what we're gonna do, as normal, we'll kind of cut to the demo, let you see how it applies and what coverage looks like, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so I've already primed my face. I've primed my face with the Bioderma Sensi Bio AR. I have this cut open to finish up the rest of it in case you're wondering why it looks like that. I've also tried it with the Chanel primer and I tried it with no primer and it doesn't seem to make a difference really. So I'm going to do about 2 pumps out onto my hand. Looks like about that much. We're just going to dot it to try to remember. I have to like tell myself, half your face, half your face. Otherwise I just start dotting all over the place. And I'm just going to, I've tried it with my fingers. I've tried it with even a flat brush. And I tried it with this sort of a brush thing. But I like it best with this is the Beauty Junkie flat angled kabuki, or just the flat top one, doesn't have to be the angled one. And you will see that it's just, it kind of evens things out a little bit, but it really doesn't give a ton of coverage. Just trying to make sure that I get half of it. All right, so there is half of it. I hope this isn't too bright for you. Morning lighting is tricky. So I'm going to do just kind of another, I'm going to try to do still only half my face to give you the extra, or the second sort of coat. And I find this isn't one that I have to wait a long time in between. And so this one, I'm not like with the brush, I'm just kind of pouncing it and blending it in, just not with the same kind of buffing motion that I do when I do my first layer. And that is about as much as you can build it up. You can see very clearly that still some of the discoloration that I have on my cheek there is showing. So let me do the other side. By the time you see this, because I'm recording this in advance, I'll already have cut my hair. So you're gonna be like, what, Kristin? Did you get extensions? Just kidding. I know you won't actually think that, but unless I chicken out and don't cut my hair, that could happen. All right, let me make myself match up here. Yeah, I just, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so that is what it ends up looking like. All right, I closed the blind here because I felt like it was maybe washing it out just a little bit. So that's what it looks like coverage-wise. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about coverage, and I'll quickly explain my point system in case you are new to one of my foundation reviews. Welcome. And what I do is I have 5 different categories. Each category gets a point. So there's a possibility of getting 5 points for each foundation. So hopefully that is helpful to you. Also, one thing to note is I have dry skin. Not combo, not normal to dry, I have dry skin. And that can make a difference in how foundation performs, obviously. So I just want to make sure you know those things going forward. Okay, so as far as coverage, I ended up giving this a 0.5. I didn't think that I could build it up to the sort of coverage that I want to. It's definitely a sheer to medium coverage. I really prefer a more fuller coverage, and now having, you know, looked into it a little bit, there's another Re-Nutriv foundation that is in a jar, not in this packaging. And that one, it sounds like, is a little bit more moisturizing and also has a little bit more coverage to it. So I may return this and get that and just see if that one works a little bit better for me. I haven't quite decided yet, but let me know if you're interested in seeing a review on that one, because then I will do that for sure. But just curious what your thoughts are. So I only gave it a half a point for coverage because it's not the kind of coverage that I like, and you can't build it to what it sort of, what I feel like it should be able to build to. So, all right. Let's talk about color range. There are 12 shades in this foundation, and while I do feel like they do have a really nice light shade, I believe this to be the lightest shade that they have. It does not go very far into the deep range, so I'm only giving this half a point for that as well. There's definitely, and I feel like there's a lot of pieces in between that's missing. You know, a lot of shades in between that are missing. So I'm only giving it a 0.5 for that as well. Okay, finish is a tricky one for me because on parts of my face, it looks delightful. And on other parts of my face, not so much. So where I have, you know, sort of dryness, like my nose and sometimes like up here on my forehead, it really accentuates that. It'll go from looking okay to dry, and when the day before I use a different foundation and it doesn't do that. So it's not necessarily my skin so much as it is the foundation not working well with my skin. So the other thing is that on my chin in particular, and kind of on the sides of my cheeks, and I don't normally have this issue, I feel like after a few hours it really settles into kind of my pores, and I don't really have very large pores, and all of a sudden it looks like I do. So I don't love that about this either. So yeah, for finish, I'm giving it a half a point, and it's because half of my face looks fine and the other half not so much. So again, I think that if you have more normal skin, this might be a really great foundation for you. I think I don't know how it would function on oily skin. I don't have that. I can only speak to dry skin. But I think that if you had normal skin, this might be a really nice foundation for you. So, all right, since we're talking about longevity and it showing up on my chin, this does not last very long at all. I think this is probably a 4 to 6 hour foundation tops. I'm only giving it a quarter of a point because I need something to last me at least 8 hours. I prefer 10 to 12, but this just isn't, longevity-wise, this just isn't it for me. This breaks my heart because you guys know how much I love Estee Lauder products, but this is just, it's not a winner for me. All right, the last thing, however, let's end on a positive note, is the packaging. I think the packaging on this is beautiful. I mean, it should be for the price, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's a nice glass bottle. The cap is plastic, but it's or maybe acrylic, I'm not really sure. But it's, you know, it's a really pretty presentation. And so I really do like that, so I gave it the full point for that. So if you were keeping track, that adds up to a 2.75, which is not the best score I've ever given a foundation, that's for sure. Just not a winner for me. As I said, I will be returning this, and I'm just not sure. If you guys are interested in seeing the one that comes, you know, more in a jar, I will do that. If not, then we'll just move on. Okay, so curious, this sells for $90. I've seen it on Nordstrom, Bergdorf's, and I think Saks, but it's not sold everywhere Estee Lauder is sold. At least when I was looking for it at Sephora, I like on the list online, I didn't see it there. So I'll list what I can find for you below. If this is something you are interested in and need to kind of get shade matched or whatever, I'll list David's information. He was the one that was able to shade match me. And David, of course, is my friend that's a makeup artist at Estee Lauder in New York City at Bergdorf Goodman. So I'll list that information below if you want to work with him. And I think that is everything. So on the rest of my face today, I have the blush in Fret Boy from The Balm. And I have one of my looks in my 4 Looks 1 palette, Sweet Peach. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not. If you've seen that video or not, it kind of depends on when this all goes. And lastly, on my lips, I have the Tarte Lip Surgeons in Glitzy, which is one of my favorites of all time. And I think that's everything. So I hope this was helpful to you. I apologize because I don't like to be negative, but this one just didn't work for me. And if I can save you the $90, if you have skin similar to mine, then I'm happy to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and in everything that you do, be beautiful. Bye.